How do you know what to fix in your business? How do you know where their holes are? How do you know what company you should hire to help you fix it? I think this is a really important question, and it's a question that has to be answered before you start taking action and trying out a bunch of different things. And so today I have a very special video for you guys. I'm actually about to head to an on-site consult. So this is a prospective client that we are not working with yet. And I'm actually about to go to their location on-site, do a tour, go through a consult process with them, and really try and identify and answer those questions, right? What is the question mark, right? What is the big thing? Where are the levers? Where are the things that we can pull that lever and see the most amount of opportunity and upside from it? And that's what we're looking for when we do these type of consultations. And so I want to walk you through it. I want to walk you with me and kind of show you what I'm thinking of, the questions that I'm thinking about when I'm going into these locations, and then also how do we identify if we can actually help someone out. So you're gonna take this trip with me, but before we dive into it, I wanna kind of walk you through what questions do I look at to know if one, someone's gonna be a good fit for working with us, and two, most importantly, can we actually help them where the bottlenecks in their business? And so as we go into this, I have a little bit of background information. So I do know that they have been struggling with marketing agencies in the past. They currently have no new lead flow coming in. All ads are shut off. So I know that that's probably gonna be a pretty big bottleneck that you're dealing with. But when I'm looking at the business itself, the questions that I'm looking for are going to be, what's the background here? What's the background of the owner? Is this a wellness business that the owner has experience in? They've been in there for, a decade plus. They understand the business model. They understand the industry. Or is this someone that's new? Are they part-time? Are they also working as a nurse somewhere or a firefighter or whatever it may be, and they're part-time in this business? How long have they been open for? Where are we at revenue and average revenue? So, are we having consistent revenue flows, or are we up and down? What does staffing look like? So these are all the foundations of the business that I'm trying to understand before we even get in the conversation of lead flow, sales, and all the tactical basis. And the reason why I think that this is super important is because those foundational questions will really kind of open up what is the opportunity for this business, but also what do they have access to resource-wise, right? This is a single owner with no clear staff. They're part-time in the business, completely different resources than someone that's been established for over a year, has a full-fledged staff, and is full-time in their business as the owner. And so different scenarios, different resources that we have, but all of these things matter. And so what I would kind of encourage you is that if you are, looking for coaching on your business, if you're looking for the next marketing agency that can help you, it's, do they dive into these questions, right? Are they actually trying to understand your background, what you have, to offer, what your staffing looks like, where revenue streams have been, what services you're offering? If they're not diving through those foundations, then I would really challenge them and really wonder, how do you know you can help me? So that's the first part that we're looking for. Then on the flip side of that, then I'm getting super tactical on the details, right? We look through what we call the 5 core functions, what's happening for lead generation, what's happening for lead nurture, what's happening for sales, what does retention look like, and then most importantly, what does ascension look like, right? How are we upselling people and increasing the lifetime value of clients? And so we'll go through those tactical elements there as well, which will give me a clear understanding of where should they put the focus. Do they even need a marketing agency right now? Do they have a marketing problem, or do they really have a fulfillment problem? And so that's why we're going deep on these type of questions. So get ready. Let's go for a little bit of a short road trip. We're gonna go 30 minutes down the street here. They're actually in my neck of the woods. And let's go check out Frisco Body Contouring.
We scored the goods, so time to bring these treats over and check out Frisco Body Contouring. We have arrived. We are here at Frisco Body Contouring and Weight Loss. We're going to be meeting with the owner, Janessa. We're going to be doing a tour of the facility, really understanding what's happening here on the ground floor, and then really just doing a deep dive and figuring out what can we do to help her take this to the next level. So super pumped and glad that you are along for the ride.
All right, so we are back. We are back home now. So we have made the trip. It was very insightful and super excited to get started with them and help them grow their business. So let's kind of take those questions that I open up this video with and let's kind of walk them through. Obviously, I'm not going to throw out all their information and revenue numbers and things like that on this video on YouTube. But when I'm looking at the foundational questions, this is what we find out, right? So first thing we found out is that we have a staff of 3, okay? So we have 3 people on staff. We find out what revenue is, which again, I'm not going to give that information here, but we know where revenue is and we know that it's been pretty dang solid. It's been consistent up until the last 2 months when we've had lead generation completely turned off. Then from here, we find out that we know that the owner is actually part-time. And so she has a mindset where she's not necessarily going to be an owner operator, right? She's going to be an owner of the business, which I love. I think that's great. We can make it work. But now we know that there are, she is part-time in an ER still. So we have other priorities outside of just being fully in the business 80 hours a week. So we know that. So we have some background information here. We know how long they've been open for, right? So they've been in this new location for a little bit over a year. So we now know that we have that time scale there. And so then the other thing that we know is we know our services. So we know 1 year in the new location, and we know all services being offered. And so this starts to give me a place that I can operate from, that you can operate from, right? When we look at the situation, what we can see now is, okay, cool. So we do have staff. So we have staff that can help with operations. We do have consistent revenue coming in. There hasn't been like these huge spikes up and down, not completely new, right? We can actually track and see, okay, this is what revenue is. We know exactly what the owner's time is going to look like. And we know that this business has been open for a year. So not completely established, but we know that they have, 2,000 people on contacts, right? And they have a good number of clients that they're making a steady recurring revenue from. And then when we look at services, we know exactly what machines they have, what they're offering, what they want to sell. We know exactly what that situation can look like. And so this is really big because now that I understand this, then we were able to dive into the tactical elements of the business. And so I'll walk you through a couple of things that we found. And so one of the biggest things that I'm looking for in a tactical element is this a client acquisition problem? Is it an operations problem? Or is it a lifetime value problem? And so those are 3 different buckets that our problems can fall. But a lot of times as business owners, we like to always think we have a client acquisition problem. We like to think that, man, if I just had more leads, my business would grow. But that's not necessarily true because sometimes what we have is we have a leaky bucket, right? We have a leaky bucket to where we get more people, we get them signed up, we make a very small amount of profit on them because your most expensive people to your business are your new people, right? Because you have to pay to acquire that person. You have a lot of upfront service usually. And so that's usually the most expensive person from a profit standpoint is a new person that's just been acquired. And then if we're dropping all of those people, we're not having a high lifetime value, we don't get a good amount of revenue from them and they drop off really fast, we have a leaky bucket. So really we don't have a client acquisition problem. What we really have is going to be a fulfillment, retention, and ascension, right? How do we upsell people, increase their lifetime value? That's the problem that we have. Or do we really just have an operations problem, right? We have no clear staff, we have no one that's owning processes, we have no tracking systems in place, and really we just have an operations problem that's making everything else not work as it should. And so when we're looking through this, the cool part that we saw with them is that they have pretty solid operations down, right? There's room to get better, but they've been focused on it, right? They've been focused on training their staff, having clear tracking systems in place, having 90-day rocks, right? Their goals that they have for the quarter. So they've been doing a really good job there. And then the other part is we see from the Google reviews how much a client is worth to the business, average cash collected on a front-end offer. We see that they have a pretty solid fulfillment structure in place. Now there's rooms that we can improve, upsells and things like that. But when we actually look at it, they truly have a client acquisition problem. And so if you remember a past video on walking through business assessment, then you know that when we look at client acquisition, we break it up into 3 categories. We have lead generation, lead nurture, and sales. So I want to kind of highlight some of the holes, the bottlenecks that we saw with them, or also some of the good things. And so for lead generation, the number one problem that we have right now is we literally have 0 lead flow. We have some trickling in from referrals, from website traffic, things like that, but it's not a system in place. So there's no consistent lead flow system happening right now. The other problem that we see is that they were heavily relying off of discount offers. And so the issue that they had in the past was that when they did run traffic, when they did have, for example, Meta, Facebook, and Instagram advertising going, the predominant offer, the only offer that was working was a very, very heavily kind of Groupon focused red light service. And so that's how they were getting people in the door. But what was happening is that someone's coming to the door for a $79 offer, and they were only seeing probably about a good 25% close rate on these people into a higher ticket package, right? And so their goal is to be at $5,000 average ticket per package. But if they have people coming in off of a very Groupon focused offer that doesn't speak to the other things that they sell, they were having a very hard time converting those people. And so we saw that that's a little bit of an issue there when it came to lead generation. Now, the other thing that I look at that we're missing is that we're missing a lead generation, a management software. So how do we manage these leads? Right? What do we plug them into? Do we just have your normal EMR system, which can be great for operations, but can be terrible for lead generation and marketing management? And so see that there's a little bit of a bottleneck there. So now we have to identify with lead generation, okay, there are some big opportunities here, right? First opportunity that we know is that, okay, we can get paid Meta ads back up and running for sure, right? We definitely should do that. Now, we know that the discount offers were working at a rate of 25%, so they were closing. So that is an option for this business. But knowing what their goals are, knowing whether they want to be long-term, where I would definitely push it more so is that we actually advertise transformation and we go for booked consults that require a deposit. And the reason that this is really important is because then we can have a clear sales process in place. That's a diagnostic sales process. And when they come in the door, they're a little bit more serious, higher quality lead, less lead flow, but higher quality lead. And then now we can actually have a true consult process where we can diagnostically say, this is what you need, this is how much it costs. And so that's where we probably start with lead generation. The other thing that I would look at is going to be the management system, because we have 2,000 past contacts. So lead generation does not only have to be Meta, Facebook, and Instagram advertising. We can also look at how can we reactivate a lot of these past leads that we've already paid for. And so that's what I would want to see happen as well with lead generation, which then brings us into lead nurture. So what's happening from a lead nurture standpoint? Now, some really good things that's happening from a lead nurture standpoint is that the staff, the 3 staff members that are there, they actually get it. They understand the importance of picking up the phone, calling a lead, getting them in the door, but we still saw some bottlenecks, right? So some things that I saw when we're looking at what is the current lead nurture process would be that what happens is that someone gets contacted within 30 to 60 minutes. And I'm gonna write speed to lead right there. So their speed to lead is between 30 to 60 minutes, which if someone tells me that, I'm probably assuming it's above 60 minutes. So that's the first thing that we see there. The second thing is gonna be is their reach out schedule. So they reach out in the first 1 to 2 days. And then from there, they just go into 1 to 2 weeks. So they do 2 reach outs essentially in the first 2 days, and then they do a reach out at week 1, and a reach out at end of week 1, and then a reach out at end of week 2. And so not a lot of volume there. And so that's definitely something where we have to improve what's happening on the lead nurture process, because that's not gonna cut it when we start ramping up lead flow. And then the other thing that we look at is going to be what we talked about up here, which are those reactivation campaigns, right? How can we also reactivate and nurture long-term sequences for the leads that we are paying for from paid social media ads? And so we would start there, right? Because you want to go one offer, dominate it, lock it down. But then from there, we would want to look at, okay, what other sources of lead flow can we have? Can we figure out why do we not have a good referral process in place? Can we figure out how to get more referrals in the door? Can we start cracking the Google code? Can we look at email marketing? Can we figure out organic social media, because they do have a decent presence, and how they can convert that into more lead flow? Now, we would never start with all of these things at once. We always would look at what is the low-hanging fruit, which would be probably Meta social media ads plus text campaigns for reactivation. And then now we look bottom here, we look at the sales process. And so they are actually pretty good, right? So they can sell high ticket. They've done it before. They've been able to convert, $79 Groupon offers into higher ticket packages, but there is still some room of opportunity here for how we do our sales process. So there's room for opportunity for what we do when they come in the door, how we do that actual diagnostic sales consult process. We have other services that aren't really being added into the initial consult that really work with the initial consult, for example, like medical weight loss. And so this is definitely an area where there is a lot of room for growth in turning these 3 staff members into consistent high ticket closers. And so this is what we're looking at. This is what I'm looking at when I'm looking at a business I've never met before. And when I'm walking in there, these are the questions that are going in on my head that I'm looking to get answers for. Because once we have this, and I hope that you can see this, is like once you can dissect your business like this, then it actually becomes very easy to start asking the right questions, right? And the right questions are going to be things like, what's the biggest lever here? Do you have a client acquisition problem? Do you put your focus there? Or do you need to put your focus on fulfillment and ascension and increasing lifetime value? Do you have an operations problem and things just are getting dropped, right? You may have a great agency, you might have great lead flow, but you're noticing that things just aren't happening as they should happen. And so you need to be able to start bucketing your areas of focus so then you know exactly what is the right question. And then we identify, we say, cool, we truly do have a client acquisition problem, right? If you just got more people in the door, your business would actually truly grow and be better. And then we can break it down from there into, okay, cool. So if we know that, then we can ask the right questions as far as what's happening in lead generation, what's happening in lead nurture, and then what's happening in sales and where do we have room for improvement, okay? And so when I look at, a company like this, the first place where I see room for improvement is going to be, we need to make sure that we can have a good system in place for lead nurture and sales. So we want to make sure that they're trained on that, they're solid on that, they know exactly what they're going to be doing, and then we can now take the low-hanging fruit, which is probably going to be a meta transformation campaign plus reactivation campaigns for text messages. And now we can flood it with leads, knowing that we have these things buttoned up. And then now we see what happens, what do the stats look like, and then we keep figuring out where do we improve from there. So hope this video helped you out to give you a little bit more of a different perspective on, how do you look at a business, how do you look at your wellness business, and identify what are the biggest levers and how do you move it forward. Hope you had some fun here checking out the location with me. I will see you on the next video. Again, guys, we appreciate you. Comment below, let us know what type of content you want to see. Subscribe to the channel so that we can keep this thing going and drop value for other wellness business owners like yourself. See you on the next one.